Hello and welcome to They Give Us Hope, a podcast hosted by Twiggs Co. for the purpose of sharing the stories of people, places, projects, and things that give us hope in our day-to-day. These are going to be mostly longer, short-form interviews for as long as feels good and entertaining, of course. Twiggs Co. is a Denver-based women-led sustainability consulting and implementation firm. Long story short, we are here to create exponential impact, and we're doing that by facilitating dynamic radical collaboration. This means that we are here to place the stepping stones for businesses, people, places, and things to overcome a competitive mindset and collaborate like never before to be massive forces for good. One of the ways that we're doing this is through disseminating awesome information about awesome people, and that is what you have just clicked on, my dear friend. So this is They Give Us Hope. This is an interview with Dan and Jenny Mulligan of YellowDog. They are a delightful Denver-based printer. So enjoy. There is stuff to click on to learn more information in the show notes. Highly recommend that you do that. Let us know. Vicky, Carrie Davis, and I, the thumbs of Twiggs Co., are pretty on social media pretty well. So reach out. We would love to hear from you because, the more of us out here working for good, the better. I am here with Dan and Jenny Mulligan of YellowDog Denver. They are a phenomenal company here in town, impact-driven, values-aligned, of course, because they have made it to the They Give Us Hope podcast. So clearly they give us hope in many different ways. So Dan and Jenny, whoever wants to take it, can you give us the YellowDog elevator pitch?
Jenny.
Is that me?
You are down that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty short elevator ride, but we are a design, print, and marketing studio. In short, our mission is to help the people that we work with realize their big ideas. So we work with a lot of nonprofits. I mean, almost like 25% of our client base. Small businesses, some corporations, of course, but they all have an idea and a passion. And so through that, we either use traditional marketing, print design, digital marketing, web development, all the things that they need to help really bring their idea to fruition.
One of the really cool things that I think is very unique about us is we are, or at least I am a geek in the business geek sense. It's like we love getting to know why people are doing what they're doing. We love getting to know, oh my God, you started this business because of XYZ. That's really cool. I wouldn't have thought of that. And just kind of really getting in there and understanding the whys of how these people do what they do. And then we get the fun job of telling other people that why for them or working with them to help tell that why. So it really, it's exciting. It's always new. We're always learning new things that's, I didn't do yesterday, it's a lot of fun.
Right on. And the way that you guys do this is you're more of a sustainable print company than I think I've ever encountered. Can you talk a little bit about how that evolved and how that sustainability journey within the print industry is going?
I can go ahead and do that for a little bit. It's more, I had worked for I started a web design company, which actually sold into a big print company. And that company had some initiatives and stuff that they were doing, but it always never felt genuine, never felt anything. So when I basically talked and PowerPointed Jenny into starting our own business after moving back to Denver, one of the big things there wasn't even like a big, oh, well, I think we should be really sustainable. It's like we're in Colorado, we're a Colorado company. This should be part of just who we are. This is our natural state to be. No, yes, we recycle anything we can. We get materials in that are as much recyclable as possible. Part of our initial pitch is like with digital printing saying, I don't want to send you or sell you 10,000 postcards or something. I want to say, let's do 500 that might actually work. So we're always trying to make sure that our actions are benefiting not only the business we're working with, but as much as we can the environment. There's some stuff that's harder, but we've worked with banners being sewn into bags and a whole bunch of other stuff in the past as well. So anytime we can reuse, or reduce any of the stuff we have, we definitely do that. Anything to add, Jenny?
I just, that's really built into Dan's DNA. Not that it's not in mine, but that's just the way he is even at home. Like it just has been from day one, just
Be a little annoying.
Being,
Said I could be a little annoying.
like compost. Okay. Yeah. So all of those things are just who he is. And so there was no way we weren't going to care about that stuff. We're not in this just to, make as much profit as we possibly can. Like, that's just not the thing. It's about the sustainability. It's about the team aspect of the company and caring about the employees, all those things. That's way more important to us than the, driving a fancy car.
Well, actually, why don't you talk about that? I mean, basically, we kind of pivoted a few years back. And why don't you explain kind of why we did that and what the big thing is there?
Well, yeah. So it's funny. I was just talking to another customer today, and we were just kind of reminiscing a little bit. And they're a small business, and I mean, the reason we could be fine right now, just stay put as is. This company is good. We have a good lifestyle. We enjoy it. We're doing the good things. But after a couple of years ago, we realized that in order to give our employees a career path, we needed to grow. So yes, I love what we do, and I love what we're doing with our customers and their businesses. But I mostly really want our employees to have that same feeling we did 15 years ago, which is this can be their life. And so if you're not bigger, then no one has a upward mobility, right? You're just doing work. But if you get bigger, like folks that are interested in management, or maybe a really good example of a guy, Matt, he's literally employee number 2. He's been with us this whole time. And he recently was like, I'm really interested in web development. And we just said, oh my God, that's awesome. We need somebody. So he went off and we let him do training and all that. And I just talked to him yesterday, and he was like, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. I love it so much. And it's just a good fit. But if we're not bigger, we don't have those opportunities. So that's really the only reason I'm still like so passionate about this. Well, not the only reason. There's a lot of reasons I'm passionate about it. That's my why now. My why used to be something different, but that's my why now.
And I do think that that's important to kind of push, because I mean, one of our values being the community piece, and looking at our employees as part of this community. If they're just employees and it's like, okay, I'm never going to do much more than run this printer or be a junior designer, it's not as exciting. There's not as much for them to learn, to grow, to have more opportunities, have greater income. So when we really started talking about it, and we were like, oh my God, we're going to like invest heavily again, we're going to grow this business. And it was all based on that idea of we're investing in our people.
Human-centered business growth is kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah. That's a very scientific way to put it. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put that on our website next. Okay.
That's what we're doing then. Fantastic.
Well, in a way, you kind of are. Yeah. You're growing. So that way your employees have space to grow as well, which is really quite beautiful. And so as you are doing this, and of course it's a journey, and understanding that it's absolutely a journey, how are you finding balancing growth of your organization, but then also keeping values alignment and making sure, as you grow, you're not losing those core drivers of.
Well,
I'd say 2020 was definitely a kick in the butt to that, because we went in 2019, we had basically just renovated our new space, just moved in. You were actually at our kickoff party. We were so excited about what next year was going to bring, and this vision for like growing into this new neighborhood and growing the business with all these people. We had everybody so excited, and of course, just tanked fairly quickly. But I think we did a lot in that piece that I think really helped even define our core values even better in how we worked with and trade or kept our employees. So,
and I do think we use the entrepreneurial operating system, EOP. It's based on that traction book. And we really embrace that, let's say right at the end, right before we moved from the old office. And that is defining your core values. And so now everything we do and every hire we make has to do with whether or not they're aligned with our core values. And so it's easy, I feel like it's easy to keep aligned as you grow if everybody is invested in what the core values are. I mean, you can interview someone and know pretty quickly whether or not they're curious by nature, or whether or not they're creative, whether or not they want to be part of a community. That's easy to do. And so once you have them and everyone else is kind of operating in the same way, I think it's easy to keep aligned. I mean, maybe I'd say that different 20 employees from now, but right now, it's great. Yeah.
Are those your core values? Creativity, community. What was the third one?
And curiosity.
Curiosity, creativity, community. They
Okay.
occasionally want to add caring as a fourth, but I figure it's already kind of taken up in there.
3 C's is cool. Yeah.
It's got a nice balance to it.
Exactly.
So with that, it's kind of tactically, what are some of the ways that you've experienced being able to tell that someone cares about their community and they're not just putting up a front? Just to throw
I'd
out.
say there's a natural passion that goes through most of our employees, and passion expresses itself in a lot of different ways. And when we can see some of the things they care about and how they express themselves, and the other, whether it's taking improv classes or doing, functioning as an artist, we see how they kind of reach out, the things that they kind of do, and we help them mix that into the office. And then we help, don't try and push ourselves into their life, but, say, hey, how can we integrate this into, we're all like having fun with the things that really interest you. So we're trying to build around these creative interests that everybody has.
Oh, very cool. So then does that mean like the design and the dynamic of your overall organization is fairly fluid? It kind of moves about and can change or shift depending on who comes through?
It definitely can. I mean, we have people that have, some very specific talent areas or stuff like that. So we might be able to say, oh my God, you're a great illustrator. How can we utilize that talent for this particular piece or anything like that? So we do kind of pair specific jobs with things with specific talents that we have in-house, or specific project managers that have a great knowledge within oh my God, you're doing a pop-up shop that needs all this kind of thing. Let's kind of work out how that works best for you, easy, best for us. And you don't throw it in the trash can when you're done.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. Again, a little bit more on the tactical side of things. No, that was a great answer.
I'm up here. I'm not tactical. That's not my
Well, it's interesting to have a balance of both, for sure. So Jenny, are you slightly more tactical, or?
Yeah, in the truest sense of the word, Dan is the visionary and I'm more the integrator, so it's always been a lot of Dan's vision that drives what the direction we're going. I mean, even we had been just printing for 12 years. We'd done some graphic design here and there, but the actual conscious decision to add those elements frankly came because we had a person approach us, timing is everything, that we've known for years, who was at an agency and was ready to, kind of build her own thing. And once we have that piece, it's kind of like if you build it, they will come. We really do, like our small businesses were saying, gosh, you guys do websites, or hey, can someone help me with this? And we added the people to do that. So it's like, it's both things happening at the same time. We're getting requests from clients, but then we added the staff that can do the work. And as we add employees, they all have their special skills. And, we have a really talented illustrator that is on staff with us. So that's something we can offer right now. So we do move tactically based on the skill sets of the staff. We can decide yes or no to engage projects and engagements based on
and even
well.
And as we do this growth and as we add new services, going back to that idea of traction, we are constantly meeting and having like little checks on how's this going? Are there issues? Where's this other stuff? So we're constantly bringing up any issues that are happening as we're moving along. So we can sit there and say, okay, this was a terrible idea, Dan. Why are we doing this? Or say, no, this is great. Everything's working out fine. So we are constantly, repeatedly checking on everything that we're doing, checking with all the people we work with to say, okay, we just accepted this kind of a job. It's not something we normally do. How are we all feeling about how that's going? Are you mad at us yet? Or is everybody happy? Or do we need to adjust our timelines? Because growth and expansion has to be, I mean, you have to be able to willing to do stuff that I hadn't done yesterday. If we just did everything we did before, we're not going to really go anywhere. Right. We're going to have to figure out something.
It requires being uncomfortable.
Yes. And we're very good at being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, stop it. I'm tired of being uncomfortable.
Okay, I can be more uncomfortable than Jenny can.
Yes.
Well, it's good. Teamwork helps, right?
Yeah. We definitely have a good, play to your strengths kind of mentality between the two of us. So we do balance each other out really well, I think.
Absolutely.
Nicely done. That's always important in business relationship, in any relationship, I think.
Yeah. Business, wife.
So how, it sounds like that one of the biggest foundations of YellowDog is this, you're able to communicate back and forth with your staff, with all your stakeholders effectively, because community is a big portion as well. So during the pandemic, how has your communication style and like even just the platforms evolved from no longer being able to pop your head in someone's office down the hallway?
Yeah. Well, everyone just gets super bugged by me because we started off, first of all, I'm like unbelievably like transparent. You sometimes
over communication.
With the communication, like everyone knows every feeling I'm having all the times I'm having them. But I also am transparent with the numbers and where we are, and I'm real. And I mean, these are adults that we're working with. There's no reason for us to dumb down or anything. They all understand like, hey, where sales are half as what they were before. We need to make some changes. So everybody, I said that I can remember the day, and I stood out with everyone. And this is before we were shut down, but I knew that it was happening. And I stood out there and I said, we will do whatever we can to keep this team together. You have my word on that. And so once we had to send everyone home, we have continued. We did Monday, Wednesday, Friday Zooms at noon. So it's like lunch and we were all together. And now we drop Wednesday. So it's just Monday and Friday. And we have done crazy things. We have done just to keep everybody engaged, like background contests and playing games and would you rather.
Bingo.
One day bingo is my favorite. One time I sent everybody DoorDash pizza, and we had a pizza party, and this morning we had a wedding shower virtually for one of the girls who's getting married, and we just are constantly engaged in that. And I'm willing to really pretty much embarrass myself and do anything on there to get a laugh. So that's kind of my MO. And I think it just helps everybody stay connected to some extent. But we've had to pivot, obviously, with the way we run our business too, the people that are still in the office, because you can't take that printer home with you to do the work. So we have a core staff that's been at the office, and they've had to work with account managers virtually. And I just think because of the teamwork, people have stepped up in areas that they didn't have to do before. Like, I have to look at the product before it goes to the customer. Well, as an account manager, I'm not here, so I'm going to trust the admin team that is here to be those eyes for me. Send me a FaceTime video or, whatever we need to do so we can be looking at the product before it goes out the door. So it's been a lot of teamwork.
Yeah. And I mean, we still, even just recently, we're doing some quarterly reviews right now, and we can feel people are still like, still feel disconnected. I mean, I think universally, so many of us are like, I'm tired of being in my house all the time, or not feeling like I could just go have a hug or a face-to-face conversation, or all sitting around, drinking coffee or around the water cooler, whatever it is. So we're always trying to come up with new ways to make sure that those connections are still there, and that we make sure that we let, whether it's the people in the office or the people out of the office, know how much we care about everything that they're doing for themselves in this company and their teammates to make this work. I mean, originally, a lot of it was, and the way we structured it was, we got to keep the interior team that has to be at the office safe. So we pared down. It's like anybody that could work remotely or anything like that, they were. We set them up with the equipment at home. We set them up with whatever they needed to be able to do their job as well as they could at home. And then now it's, slowly starting to cut back. We have some employees with, 2 shots. All those pretty much have 1 shot at this point. So we're looking forward to the idea. Okay, we can hopefully start rolling back to where we're probably never going to go back full time, everybody in the office. But the possibility is like, I just want to go in and see people today. Yeah. I actually I have one employee who definitely wants some adult conversations versus. Right. So I think we're going to start seeing that again. And that's, been looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. With the ability for your team to trust each other, that one's really, really cool. Was that just a natural byproduct of the amount of engagement and the values alignment and the kind of passion driven people that you go for? Or have you intentionally done things to develop and facilitate that trust building?
I really do think because those core values, the people who have been here the longest, they embody that. And I give you a really great example is we will do like a happy hour after Zoom or whatever. And my favorite thing is I do my hour, and then I'm done because I don't think they want mom on the call the whole time. And I find out later, like I come to work and like 4 of them were on the phone till midnight, so they're all Zooming that late. They all have made their relationship with each other. And if you are a person who values community and connection, you do trust those people, and everyone, oh, so-and-so sent me coffee because I did this extra thing for them or whatever. That kind of thing happens all the time here.
Yeah. Well, but I think it's also something we definitely had to work on it at times. And it's very much, we're both fans of Brene Brown, but Jenny's like a super fan. But that message early on, no, you have to be vulnerable. You have to have honest communication with each other. There were certain times where we had to keep on saying that and say, no, don't just keep stuff to yourself, or don't just go in the back and go, it's like, no, sit down, have the conversations. Yeah. And we keep on preaching that within. So I do think it's second nature to our team right now, not to say I'm just going to go home and, talk to my husband or my wife and say, damn, I hate the rest of these people I work with. If there's something you're bugged about, you're going to get it out. And you have to talk about it.
And we've, of course, had times when we've had somebody who gets sort of toxic, and we all feel it. We all know. We're like, oh God, it's going to start to fester, and we have to address those things like right out of the gate, because it's a very thin line between, blaming and shaming, to use Brene Brown, and in empowering and engaging the team.
Definitely. So last question on that, because it really is fascinating. And these are some of the things that they're not talked about enough yet. So we're working on making this.
Well, this isn't how most people learn business. Yeah. But this is business. If you're not sitting there doing these things in business, all you're doing is basically having a bunch of people that are going to work for a little while for you and then go somewhere, and it's going to stagnate. A good business, it's more on these kind of things than it is on your, maybe not your product, but your process. This has to be a portion of it.
Right. Absolutely. So the thing that I want to ask about is how you frame that kind of conflict resolution conversation and teach people how to communicate on that. But I want to warn you, the follow-up question, which we're going to get close to ending with, is as your work is completed and as you are walking around the world, how can I see visually that your work and your biggest dream has been done? This is for the Do You See What I See kind of campaign of sharing the visions of visionaries and trying to make them as concrete as possible. But before we get to that, what in navigating through this process of, hey, you have a problem, let's talk about it out in the open like adults, and the conversation around that, what have you found to be most helpful in getting people to talk about potentially sensitive things, generally speaking?
Sorry for that noise in the background. What I think it is leading by example. And I will give you a very specific story. There was, frankly, it was with Dan, there was some grumblings. We had gone through and revamped the production into a lean manufacturing environment. Dan was pushing hard to get that implemented, and there was some pushback, like, well, that's not how I do it normally, and it's how to do it different. And but it became sort of a behind the scenes pushback, right? There was underpinning grumblings. And instead of letting that fester, I brought everybody into the room and I said, I'll start. And I said, when I hear this, this is what I feel. You know, this is a story I'm telling myself. And then I said, we're not talking about the issue, but I want you to tell everyone tell their story. What is the story you're telling yourself about what's happening here? And that was a really tough conversation.
Oh, yeah.
There was 5 people in the room and it was very uncomfortable, but everyone got to air their side and try to find some common ground. And I think the only way that grows in a company is if they see us doing that. And I'm not afraid to have hard conversations. You know, I'm not going to blame you, but I think we have to come up with, you know, what is a win-win, really, and get all of the feelings out. And so even the people who are very shy, I think do lean into vulnerability. So it just starts from us doing it, I think.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I was going to just say, okay, Jenny sits us down in the conference room.
But I mean, to me, I'm like, everyone cares about each other. Like if you want to go have a beer afterwards, but we need to talk about this now.
Yes.
And, you know, and then leave it in the room and then you're gone. This is not hurt feelings. You know, this is like, we figure out a way through this.
Absolutely.
So.
Wow. Thank you. Great. Oh man, that was an awesome answer.
Well, it really happened. I'm not just making this up.
And everybody's totally fine.
And we're fine. And
I have been known to push hard occasionally. Yes.
That's what the visionary does, right? You make people go to the next
uncomfortable level. Well, I help make people uncomfortable.
Right.
Unfortunately, it is part of my job to say, I know you're really happy with the way this is going, but
right.
And so with these foundations and coming out of 2020, what does 2021 look like for you as far as business growth? And
yeah, you know, when we were right towards the end of December and you were like, everyone's like 2021, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And then we had literally the second worst month since COVID in January. And it was like, oh, gut punch. But I do think that what was going on in the world in January, you know, the election and the rising cases and all that stuff made everyone, and then the bill was being negotiated, made everyone so uncertain about their future that it just, people kind of froze. But somehow in the beginning of February, there's been like this awakening. And while we're not back up
somehow,
yeah.
Might have been a cause, but pure speculation.
Yeah, but so while we're still 20% off from 2019, I can see the trajectory in our, you know, the inbound requests that we're getting are through the roof, the estimates we're getting, the quality of leads we're getting. People are starting to come back. And so all of our leading indicators look super positive. Yeah. Do I think we'll be where we were in 2019 at the end of the year? I don't think so. I think it's going to take a whole nother year to like start growth again. But I kind of look at this as like a little speed bump on our way because we're committed to what we're going to.
But in one way, the speed bump has been really helpful. The way, because what we did when we addressed it, it's like, okay, we have some time. Let's talk about every single process, every single thing that we do, from when a customer says hi to us to when we deliver them their thing. And after that, let's talk about everything we do and how well is that working?
Right.
Can this be improved? Can that be shortened? Can this be done? So we're going to come out of this with a much stronger sense of how to do our jobs better.
Yeah,
because we're able to spend the time.
The whole website, like from scratch. And I mean, we would have never had the time to do that had we been going 100 miles an hour. So it's been a lot of things have gotten better, and we had that time to do it during that year. So
Nice.
it was a blessing in disguise. In a really bad disguise, but yeah.
And on that note, if anyone listening or watching this has not checked out the YellowDog website, the link will be in the description or wherever you happen to be consuming this content, because it is gorgeous. And just to reiterate, in case you didn't catch it, they do website design, and it is also always really gorgeous. You can tell that it's an organization full of passion-driven people. So
thank you.
Honestly,
Nice,
like, it is my pleasure to be able to plug such a fantastic set of services, people, all of the above. Like, y'all are cool. You really do get. Vicky and I talk about you guys all the time.
I'm not sure if my kids would ever say we're cool, but no, we have some really cool people who work for us, but I think we might have passed that little.
Someone called me the cool kid the other day, and I was like, sure. Okay. So with that, Dan, we'll start with you.
What do I see?
Yep, in the gorgeous, beautiful world that we are building, where the economies support the society that lives within it. What does your vision for the future look like?
I mean, at some point, Jenny and I are going to start to step away from doing this every day and leave more and more either to our employees or, I mean, there's going to be a transition at some point, and I want to make sure our employees have a lot to say and a lot to do within that. It's not tomorrow. It's not, I mean, I don't want to like suddenly say, hey, we're gone. And that was probably a really weird thing to say that way. But I think for me, one of the greatest things about this is we built a great community. And I also got to do that with my wife. And that is something that can go on beyond us, that I'm always going to be proud of. And I don't think there's much more exciting than that.
Nice. Jenny, no offense, I just started with Dan because he had to stare at that copy for a while.
Oh no, I was just like, I don't know what to say. Yeah, no, my deal is that I feel like when we look back at YellowDog, we've been able to, when we first started, our second child was born the month we opened. She was at YellowDog in the Johnny Jump Up, like we had a little play area. She was there until she was in like preschool, so like 18 months. She was at work with us. She slept in the bathroom, like it was just, that's just
it's not as weird as it sounds. It's just the quietest room.
Yeah, family or whatever you call those things. So, but then we were able to be and do the things with our kids in their, if you had to leave early to go see a performance and that sort of thing. And as they got older, we were able to do more and more things. They were able to come to work and do things. So we've always just been able to do our life, the balance, work-life balance. And it would be my measure of success if our staff can do the same with theirs. We have, two people who I've seen them meet their girlfriend or boyfriend, buy a house, have a baby, or get married, have a baby. And we have another person. And I just love that, like, we have worked with them. Matt's one of his daughters. He needed to stay home with her. She couldn't. Anyway, that's another story. But bottom line is that he was able to work from home. We cut his hours for, while this was happening. Now she's able to go to school and he's back working full time. So we're just like, my measure of success would be like everybody's lifestyle could be as great as ours was, like what more do you want, really?
The system that we built can support that.
Yeah,
is pretty, it's really good to know.
That is amazing. All right, so before we sign off, what is the best way to get in touch with either or both or YellowDog?
Well, our general info at yellowdogdenver.com. If you go on our website and you have like an actual quote request or whatever, you can enter that in, and that also comes to that info. Or our office number is 303-765-2000. So you could reach out. The way we work it for inquiring customers is everybody's paired with an account manager. So the second you come in, you'll get paired with someone who will own the relationship through the whole process. So that's kind of the first funnel is in the info at.
Nice, gorgeous. And all of those links
Yeah.
and information will be in the description as well.
Awesome. And hopefully soon people can start visiting us up at the York Street Yards shop.
I know. Hopefully soon.
Soon, for sure. Well, thank you both so much for your time and your passion and your ability to look something very scary and what some might call ridiculous in the face and be like, no, we're going to do it that way because it's better anyway.
Right.
Well, thank you both so much.